What is happiness? Happiness is achievement. What's the father of achievement? Motivation. What's the mother? Encouragement. The fine golf swing is truly achievement. Man may lie, cheat, and steal for gain. But he'll never gain the golf swing. To gain the golf swing, man must work. It's work without toil. For those of us who know to love it, golf is truly happiness.
Hey everybody, I'm out at the Ely Callaway Performance Center. I'm out here and I'm actually with, I'm going to have you introduce yourself.
Patrick Davis, I'm the manager of R&D Irons and Hybrid Development.
So you saw what that is, that's research and that's R&D, irons and hybrids development, right?
Yes.
This is the guy, this is the guy. So like I always said, come out here and I want to talk to the experts. And then, I always say, come out here and talk to Dave Neville or talk to those guys. I've actually got pushed up a notch this year. So I got the real guys this year, okay. So what we're going to do this year is we're going to talk about the Paradym Smoke, right?
Yep.
This is the new Paradym Smoke that's come out. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to just walk us through this and kind of walk us through what the Paradym Smoke's all about. And then we'll get into the difference, how that's changed over the last couple of years or since last year, over the type of product. But talk to my guys and gals at home about what the Paradym Smoke's all about.
So I think the big thing for Paradym Smoke is we want to keep you with that long distance that Callaway's known for, kings of distance. We pride ourselves in that, ball speed. But the big focus is using our AI SmartFace technology this year to give you back that spin, give you back that quote unquote healthy ball flight that everyone wants to see, giving you high launch. And really want to focus on allowing players of all demographics to fix their pitch marks. We want to allow them to go up there and fix that divot, look their friend in the eye and go, look, I stuck it close and there it is.
I like it.
So that's kind of where this all kind of the inspiration for this product kind of started.
Okay.
And then we took a few different approaches holistically, everything from technology in the head to full build specs to allow the players and enable players to capture that feeling. Okay,
so let's talk about this. Let's start breaking this down. So first things first, because we're going to kind of get into layman's terms here, because I know most people that are going to be watching this are guys that are saying, okay, I might be interested in some Callaway product, a new Paradym Smoke, and I send them to watch a video and say, okay, go watch this about the irons and the hybrids. Talk about the technology, because I know this is why we really got attracted to Callaway, because the technology is so far superior to everybody else, and it is, and you guys are proving it every year. You're proving it again and every year. So let's just talk about the technology in this first, because I think this is almost over. I'm an expert in the industry, sort of, and it's overwhelming for me. Much less somebody who's saying, is this a great set of irons? So talk a little bit about the technology itself.
So I think it starts, if we look at this pull part here, it starts with our face, and it starts with our AI SmartFace technology. And what that's allowing us to do is really use what we call micro deflections in the face to control and influence shots all across the face, ensuring that we're giving them, a forgiving shot, we're having them have optimal launch conditions, so spin, launch, ball speed, all of that, and then start line as well. And so with that technology, we're allowed to give a level of forgiveness that no one else has, a level of downrange accuracy and trajectory that no one else can really capture. And that really comes through the extreme topology that you'll see in these faces. And this is nothing we've ever done before, these kind of ebbs and flows, little valleys that we have. You don't have this on any other club that we make. And that really is kind of the powerhouse that allows this club to give you that optimal, healthy ball flight. This is all complemented by our urethane microspheres, giving you kind of a little softer feel, a little better sound within a hollow body construction like this, as well as providing some of that force back into the face so we're not losing energy in our impact.
Gotcha.
And then it's complemented again by a massive piece of tungsten.
That's on the bottom.
And this piece of tungsten is huge. It's going to be pulling our CG low, allowing for high ball flight, high launch, as well as it's pulling our CG a little more towards the toe. So it's centering the CG more central.
Oh, I like that,
So you're getting a more efficient energy transfer relative to your club head. So a little bit of physics there. We want to make sure everything's working with you.
Love it.
And then all of that kind of, when we talk about the CG getting low, usually a penalty of low CG is a loss of spin. Well, that's where the AI SmartFace comes in, allowing us to capture that spin across the face for consistent spin robustness, as well as a loss of those flyer kind of knuckleballs that kind of catch some of the, maybe some of the better players unexpectedly. And so we kind of really want to make a club that's encapsulating a wide range and kind of helping everyone out.
Love it. Okay, so let's break that down even more.
Yes.
So, and you knew I was going to do this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So because I want to talk about a couple of things here first. Now, first of all, just for people at home, and I know this, you could literally talk about this for hours.
Yes.
But let's talk just what does AI technology mean? So just describe that, because I know here when we talk, and I mean, we even talk about AI technology in the gloves here. It's crazy. Okay, but let's just talk right now. What do you mean by AI? If I said define AI technology to those at home that have never heard this, what do you mean by AI technology?
So let's start with kind of what our AI technology is,
right.
kind of our process. So we take in real player swings.
Right.
We then, from real player data across our entire fitting system, probably fitting data from you guys as
100%.
well. We're looking at those swings and we're developing what we call kind of like the optimal swing.
Right.
That best kind of represents the population
Right.
we anticipate to use a club. So we take that swing and then we're using that swing as well as the impact locations to
Right.
see high probability of where people are going to hit the club on the face.
Right.
So we take that, that's how the club's coming into our analysis.
Right.
And then within that, we're taking, I mean, this is hundreds of thousands of pieces of
Called the
data.
supercomputer.
Yeah, supercomputer. We're dumping everything in the
Right,
supercomputer. I'd say hundreds of thousands of swings, millions of points of data.
Yep.
And then that's giving us an optimal face pattern, or
Right.
VFT that we like to call it, that's going to basically help the player with that forgiveness.
A few years ago, I came here and they had a big presentation. And this is when the supercomputer was first introduced to the Callaway. So it's been a few years back
Yes.
now. And I remember Doc got up in front of everybody and he said, I just want you to know right now, he said, the rest of the golf industry is about 25 years behind us. It was crazy. I mean, and he looked at this and he said this in front of hundreds of people. It was like, whoa. But you guys put a lot of money into that,
Yes.
a lot of money into that to come with this AI technology
Yes.
and this supercomputer for this.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it. And so now you're getting more and more data every year.
Yes.
So, I mean, you are getting data from us. I mean,
Right.
so it's fitting data. You're getting more data every year, and you're using that data to make the clubs better and better and better every year. Is that, am I right?
Yes, and I think that's the big thing
Right.
to focus on the AI for this year is using real player data
Right.
to influence our decisions, not just a small testing panel,
Right,
not
no, it's-
just what
right.
you think an optimal swing is. It's,
No,
you want the people's data.
This isn't going to get in the John Rahm's will get the data.
No.
This is real people that play
Yeah,
golf.
we're
This
making- making clubs for you.
The
We
20
wanna use
handicap,
you
the 30
for-
handicappers,
Exactly.
the beginners, absolutely. That's the data they're using. I think people at home need to understand that.
Yeah.
Because this is how these clubs are produced. They're
Yeah.
by real data, by real people, they're average, typical golfers.
Yep.
Now, here's the next thing I want to talk about for a second, because you brought this up. And this is a big deal, especially when we talk to our demographic. And my demographic, most are 50, 60, 70 years of age or older, guys and gals. That's the majority of our demographic. And the second you start talking about the loft of clubs and you start saying, they're going longer now because they just de-loft them. They just de-loft them. And it's like old school stuff. And I said,
Yes.
okay. But I always talk about the tungsten weight inside. And I said, no, they're doing this because as they add weight in that club, they add weight in this club in the bottom, you increase what? Lower the center of gravity, you increase the loft. Am I right?
Yeah, increasing your launch.
So increase the launch. So you've got to de-loft these clubs to a point, or you're just gonna start hitting them straight up. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So now I tell you guys that at home. You don't believe me. This is the expert. Okay. Talk about that for a second, would you? Because that's really a big deal over the past few years. And I know it seems it's been a while for you guys, but for a lot of people it hasn't. So talk about that weighting that's in there, if you would, because that's a huge deal.
So we spend a lot of money and a lot of time
Right.
looking for optimal placement and optimal kind of density and weight of this piece of tungsten that's pulling our CG low. And so basically the CG now sits lower or below the golf ball.
So the center of gravity is low.
is now lower.
Right.
So when you're making impact, that initial force on the ball is sending the ball more in an upward trajectory, improving that launch. Now, in most cases, the penalties of that becomes your spin.
Right.
But with the other pieces of technology in the face, we're allowing you to capture that spin back. So we really try to bring you back to when you're hitting a 7-iron. For a traditional player, they're seeing 7,000 RPMs of spin. We want that regular ball flight, so we don't want you having a penalty of getting that high launch.
So, and this is a big deal because, when I do our fittings, and I have tens of thousands, in fact, I'm at the point now I got hundreds of thousands of fittings on file. And with my demographic I could deal with, almost 80% of them will say they claim to make minimal to no divot. Okay, so that's the typical golfer, that whether they cast a club or release a club earlier, they just don't make much divot anymore. Okay, so they're making minimal to no divot. Well, this becomes a huge deal having a low center of gravity, because what happens is, guys, to create launch in the ball, you got to hit below the equator of the ball. And when you hit below the equator, we got to get weight down there. Well, if you're making a big old divot, you don't need a real low center of gravity, you'll be fine. If you're making no divot to minimal divot, that becomes even a bigger deal, am I right? And that's why when you start taking real golfers' data, you start realizing this, we got to get that lower center of gravity lower and lower and lower. It's not, if you're talking guys like John Rahm or Alexander Schauffele, those guys, it's not that big a deal. I mean, they're going to create tons of spin, and that's not a big deal to them. But something like this in a forgiveness iron, it is. Is that right? And that's, so you're seeing that's the technology that's increasing. Okay, so here's a couple questions for you. So this isn't me at home telling you guys. It's the expert telling you guys this. So right now, if somebody walked up and there was 3 or 4 different lines of clubs or whatever it is sitting out there, okay, and I said right now, why should they go to the Paradym Smoke, or why should they go to the Smoke? Why should they go to the Paradym Smoke? And you said you got to tell that person. You got 2 minutes to convince them and say you need to go to Paradym Smoke. This is the club you need to hit. You follow me here?
Yes.
Okay. Tell them why.
I think our offering, we really have a bifurcated offering in a sense. We have a standard model.
Right.
It's going to be a little stronger lofted.
Right.
A little more of that maybe higher head speed player.
Right.
But not necessarily. It depends on what you're looking for your game.
Okay.
In the HL, we're going weaker lofts.
Right.
We're going a little bit longer in club length to capture some of that speed back to make sure you're getting that spin and giving you a lot more launch.
Okay.
And then the max fast option, we're giving you similar to the HL in terms of loft package, but a much lighter package. It's built to be lighter. It's not like you're gonna get a custom, I'm gonna put my light shaft in it. It comes built for that light shaft, so your swing weights are natural, the progression through the set is natural. And so we really give players, this is a wide offering. It's not you're picking one club and you get a slight variation of it. No, this is a wide offering to capture many audience because we think we really have something special here and we'll make sure as many players as possible are falling into it. Another big feature is our destructive leading edge that we use. And so we've kind of changed how we build our sole camber. And this actually is a little bit influenced from the tour, from tour players giving us feedback on a lot of turf interaction. And kind of how they go through the turf. And so we take the bounce and we actually almost kind of lop off the leading edge.
Love it.
And so what that does is it allows more players to activate the bounce in the way they want. So a better player can now come into the turf harder and take a divot with a game improvement club. Or maybe not a better player, but a player who likes that feeling. And then the player that likes to come up on the club, it prevents them from catching that leading edge, allowing them to kind of hit up and bounce into it.
100%. It's the first thing I noticed in this club, and this is actually the HL.
Yes.
And you can see that front edge is just, it looks like, layman's terms, it looks like it's almost curved in a little bit.
Yes.
Now, I'll tell you what that is. I'm going to be honest with you guys. When good players, I'm talking really good players, find a set they like, they will start wearing the set out a little bit, and that's the first thing you'll see in that club is you'll see that front edge get worn down a little bit. It's through hitting balls. It's through time of hitting balls. And then they'd never want to change clubs because they feel like the new club, they call it being sharp or grabby, they're like it grabbed. This one won't. This one will get through, as you call it, turf interaction. Much better. So that's how defined they are on here. Is they even got that front edge. I call it a softer front edge, is what I call it. And this little bit softer front edge that actually won't grab that turf if you do make a divot. And so on. But if you don't make a divot, it's a great club too. It's perfect because of that low center of gravity. Okay, so let's talk hybrids here for a second. Okay, so before I get away from you here, I want to talk hybrids. Okay, and then I'm going to ask you a couple other pointed questions. You want to talk about the hybrids a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Go ahead.
So the hybrids, similar to the face technology, using that smart face AI, and these heads we're using that high strength 455 material, so very explosive off the face, controlling those micro deflections. From what we learned about our cut wave sole in the Paradym, we took those learnings and kind of moved them even kind of more up to the face and looking at our sole camber and how players grab the heel, grab the toe when they're hitting at a various turf situations. And there's a big focus similar to what we took on the irons to make sure players are coming through confidently. The other thing you'll notice is we have our mim weight sitting on the low front for that low center CG, helping with ball flight. And then our shaping is inspired from that same direction we had in our Paradym clubs. These are a little more forgiving in terms of shape. So they'll be a little more square, a little bigger blade length, especially when you go to the HL. On the HL from the standard, we're going to go with a smaller face height, as well as a longer blade length. So giving you that confidence, like you're gonna get under the ball, you're gonna get that launch, and have that nice forgiving feel.
So this is the HL forgiving club, and that's very forgiving that. So okay. So let's talk about, let's just kind of back up a couple steps then. Let's just talk about this, because this is what right now, anybody's watching this video saying, okay, that's a lot of technology, that's a lot of information, I got the expert here, okay? Now, so I have a gentleman, this is my average demographic, I'll bring this up here. I have a gentleman who comes in here, he's 60 years of age. He has either a regular flex type shaft or senior flex type shaft. And he has 80 mile an hour, 85 mile an hour driver speed, okay? He's not making much divot, minimal to no divot. I mean, this is probably 70% of my guys I deal with and gals I deal with, okay? What are you looking at? They're not gonna get a player's type iron. So they're gonna look at more the HL line.
I think they're gonna be sitting in the HL, and that's gonna allow them to get the ball flighted, bigger carry numbers. I think a lot of players are suffering from distance, like they're either hitting and rolling up, and I want to make them hitting the green on the fly. I want to be getting that distance back.
So this is going to be,
and that's going to be
this distance.
Launch and spin. It's going to be right there. And what's unique about the hybrids is that these are actually loft match between the HL and the standard, but we're using a heavy movement of CG to then influence our ball flight.
So let's talk about that for a second, because before we got on camera here, you brought this up, and it's a big deal. Because all my demographic, everybody will carry like a 4-5 hybrid, go to a 6-iron, 7-iron, or they may go 4-5-6 hybrid and go 7-iron down. Some will even get through the hybrids, through the different numbers, and obviously in the hybrids. And there's a fear out there that all of a sudden they go from that 5 hybrid to a 6-iron, or from a 6 hybrid to a 7-iron, and there's a big gap. I mean, there's just like 30-yard gap or 20-yard gap. It's kind of like a fear out there. Talk about that for a second.
Yes. So on our HL line, we really focused on changing the length of the club, changing our gapping of length, so it blends more smoothly when you get down to that 5, 6, 7 range. So you don't have that massive gap. Versus a traditional hybrid is set up to be a 3, you have a 3-4 in the bag, and then you're switching to a 5-iron. And we understand players, the modern game is different. There's more metalwoods in the bag.
100%.
So we're trying to cater to that audience who wants the more metalwood and giving them a smooth gapping without having that 30-yard gap.
So you're telling me right now the guy's not going to have to carry a 6-iron, a 5-iron, and a 5 hybrid?
No.
Okay. So that's
we want them to go smooth transition. We want to, I want to save your other shot. Your other
I can put some more wedges in the bag. I can put wedges in the bag.
Give you an extra wedge in the bag. I want to see you hit
scoring.
I want to see you 60 degree in there. I want to see that flop shot. I don't want to take that away from you.
That's a big deal. That's a huge deal. I love that. Okay. I love it. So the way you guys, guys, we fit for everything, and talk a little bit about the adjustability also in the neck here.
So that's another key thing is, in addition to the kind of progressive between irons and hybrids combo sets we did, we want to make sure the player still has the ability to make those fine adjustments.
Right.
Because, even if you don't have a 40-yard gap, say you have 6-iron, and then you have your 5-iron, and there's a 15-yard gap there, and you're going, okay, I want to play a 5 hybrid. I don't want to make that a 20. I don't want to make that a 12. I want to make that a 50. I want to give you the same gapping, just with a preferred ball flight.
100%.
And that's the focus of keeping our adjustability
through the set. So you can do a little bit of adjustability in there, so you can tweak that a little bit.
Yes.
That's very simple. And you guys kept that from last year. Okay, so just last few minutes here, so let's talk about this, because, in the last couple of years, between the Rogue ST Max, the Rogue ST Max, and then obviously the Paradym, we've sold a lot, thousands and thousands of sets. I mean, literally, we have, okay? And we're gonna have a lot of guys that are gonna wanna upgrade, okay? Or they're gonna consider upgrading.
Yes.
Especially when these things are first put out, okay? They're gonna sit there and say, I wanna go from my Rogue to my Paradym, or my Paradym last year to the new Paradym Smoke, okay? Talk about why you'd recommend that, okay? Because obviously you would. Because one of the things we have here, and I mean, that's the loud one. So funny, everything works except for those ones right there.
Jets.
So the expensive jets.
Yeah.
Okay. Back up, ready, we're good? Okay, so last thing here, just for a couple minutes here, I want to ask you a couple questions. I'm kind of going to load you on these questions, okay? Okay. The biggest thing about the technology this day and age and the way you can test is that I can actually go get a launch monitor and I can test it at home in my basement and test this club versus last year's year. So this one has to be better than last year's or the years before, am I right?
Yes.
Because anybody can test now. It's not like it's something you do at some, the performance center. Anybody can do it in their basement. They can test, okay? So I have a lot of people, okay, who have bought either the Rogue ST Max or maybe the Maverick before that or the Paradym last year. And they're gonna come to me early this year. They're going to come to me in early 2024, and they're going to say, hey, should I upgrade? And why should I upgrade to this from my Paradym or my Rogue, okay? Now, we know they're better because obviously they've tested better. They've had to, or you guys couldn't put them out. But I want the expert to tell them at home why, okay? Go ahead.
I think the biggest thing is what we call a healthy ball flight around here. You're going to be getting that spin and launch combined with more speed. And I think it's the spin and launch that's coming along is really what's going to be the difference maker of consistent ball, tighter downrange dispersion, not just, from side to side, staying in the fairway, but also distance-wise. Your ability to, if you overlay your shot pattern on a green, you're going to be on the green distance-wise as well as side to side. And I think that's the biggest difference maker for tightening that ellipse and giving a more consistent ball flight.
And that is true AI technology right there, because that's what they do. I mean, they're trying to get the results to get better and better and better with the average golfer, or all golfers. That's what they're trying to do.
I was gonna say, we're actually excited that players have the ability to be on launch monitors, because it's just going to give more validity to them that, yeah, this is a better club, and they're really going to see the results there. Because sometimes when you're hitting in a range, it's hard to see your spin rates. It's hard to see your downrange trajectory. You might see distance based on some markers, but now that that technology is more at the fingertips of the player, they're really going to see the benefits of these clubs.
I love it. And now we're going to wrap it up here in a second, but I always ask this loaded question too, okay? And he doesn't know I'm going to ask him this, okay? So, because everyone's at home sitting there saying, you know, well, they're going to come up with something new next year, and come up with something new next year after that. You know, every year, what they do? I mean, there's guys, it's the golf industry. They're going to come up with different products every single year. Am I right?
Yes.
It keeps you a job. It keeps but no, it's fun. And you guys at home, you love this, okay? Tell me right now, this isn't something that's done overnight. Am I right?
No.
So this is, in fact, you guys have already got information you're cranking in for the next year's model. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And tell me how many people, just a numbers guess, how many people you think are actually involved in making these irons or these hybrids? How many? That's why I said, I told you. What do you think, numbers-wise?
I mean, I think we're in triple digits.
Really?
Yeah.
So in the hundreds. Listen to what he's saying there.
Yeah, I think it's. So
this isn't one guy in the back room just.
No. This is an entire I mean, you could say it's an organization really that comes behind this. It's the entire R&D department. It's our engineering department that's working with our suppliers to make sure, you know, when you're making a lot of these new technologies with these crazy face topographies you see in the iron, you see in the driver, you see in the hybrid, you see in the fairway wood, it takes a lot of development time with the supplier to have them build these clubs confidently, because this is stuff they've never seen before.
100%.
So,
it's brand new.
Yeah, and it's brand new, and so it's half of one, coming up with the idea, and then two, executing the idea.
Because you got to mass produce it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're making one-offs here. You got to mass produce this.
Right. You make the first one, you can get that, you know, in a month or two.
Exactly.
You want them to make a couple 100,000,
and
it really builds up.
So the last question on that. So we're mass producing these clubs, obviously, you know, because there'll be thousands of people who want these clubs from you, okay?
Yep.
Talk about the quality control in it, because that's a big deal, okay?
Yes, we are spot checking continuously, and it's a huge tip of the cap to our engineering and operations team that really checking heads throughout production. If you buy a head towards the end of the life cycle, we're still doing spot checking. We still want to make sure the first club is as good as the last club. And that's something we pride ourselves on, is quality and low rates of return.
It's why we've worked with you guys for so many years. I mean, you guys carry our grip. It's very unique. We have a specialty grip we put in the clubs, and we've had that, and we put them on by the millions now. You guys, you carry it in your facility, and we put our grips on there. So when we're building the club, we're doing it by length, line angle, shaft flex, grip size with our specialized grip, and so on. But even that's quality controlled, which is amazing. So we send grips to them to put on the clubs, and they quality control our grip, which I love. Yeah, so it's pretty impressive. They're quality control and quality control.
I mean, we quality control everything. Shafts, grips. Like if it's not good enough, we send it back. And
it is crazy how well they do it, and they back their product. It's amazing how they back their product, because you think about it. It's very impressive. And he's probably not as much involved in this, but you go out and all of a sudden you hit a rock in the fairway, or you drop your club and it snaps in the back. It's pretty impressive how quick they'll get another club to it, but how it will match exactly. They don't match. That club will not be some club that you throw in there, doesn't match. It goes right into the line and matches perfect when they're replacing clubs. It happens more often than you think. Yeah. But so anything else you want to talk about this? I mean, you covered a lot. I know we've talked a lot about this, but anything else you want to talk about this? I mean, so you're at home right now. They're sitting there deciding if they want to buy this new product. I mean, we'll close it up with what you want to tell them.
I just think it's the AI technology, the work we've done on shaping, and it's really a holistic approach with this club that's going to give you a totally different experience than anything you've hit before. The wider range of players that we're going to capture with this club, with the sets of club, it's really something special, something we're really proud of, and I mean, I'm just so excited for people to start hitting it. Well, it's a beautiful club. It's an absolute club. You've always done a great job, and every year it seems like I look at last year's and go, man, it's beautiful. This year's, you kind of seem like you went up it all the time, and the Paradym Smoke is a beautiful club. I can't wait to hit them. Yeah, and I think the point you made about we're always working on the next thing. Right. I think the hardest day for us is when we're kind of told, okay, pencils down. We have to this is we gotta go to production. Got to go to production, right? So whatever you have, we have to go with what we have and what we think is good. Right. And then we start working for the next year, because we're always learning new stuff about our AI technology. Right. There's always one more step we can take it, and so I think that's what makes this technology so special, is that you can continuously building. But to my people at home, what's great about that is called the trade-in, trade-up program. Yes. You can just keep going into the news. Oh yeah, that's the way we are. I do it, and everybody else does it. You do it too. Oh yeah, trust me. Yeah. Even the internal guys do it. I promise you they do. So just go to the new stuff and get up the new hot stuff. Am I right? Yeah. But we're trying to. I mean, we push the program management team. We push operations to the bleeding edge of the last date we can send stuff. Last date we send stuff, because we are so passionate about what we give the consumer. we want to be giving the best we can. We don't
Right.
want to be holding anything back.
Love it.
And so, yeah, at times does that cause headaches? Does that cost us more money because we have to expedite processes?
100%.
Yes, we do, but we do that in a way where we're still maintaining quality and we're making sure the end product is exactly what we want it to be.
You can tell how excited he's about the product, which is awesome.
I can talk about it all day.
No, it is. I love it, and you see that. And as we go around and we go to all different areas, that's the beauty of Callaway, is the excitement you guys have in this product, which means it's got to be the best.
Yeah.
If it's not the best, they know it. I mean, these guys are golfers.
It's across the board.
100%.
It's drivers, hybrids, it's everyone.
100%.
And the harmonizing we have between all the different categories is really what makes these technologies flourish.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge. And that's why we did this. That's why we joined and really partnered with Callaway for this very reason, because of the high quality and the backing you guys do the product and the excitement that's here.
Yeah.
Plus, we know there's not going to be any down years. It's going to be better and better and better. It's always going to be that way. It's always going to continue that. Well, we're good. Oh, thank you. I want to thank you for your time.
I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out and seeing the product. Thank you. It's amazing.